In my head, I look at what are the picks and shovels, like the Nvidias. Then you've got the platforms. So you've got the OpenAI and Mistral, and you've got the platform
Right,
providers, and then you've
right.
got the products or the application layer. And this is across the board transformative stuff. So this isn't going anywhere. This isn't going to be. Yes, there's hype. Yes, some people are going to get their faces burned, but this is not the same hype cycle as crypto and MetaTurd and blockchain or whatever the other rubbish was been going bouncing around for the last decade.
Hey everyone, this is Prashant and I'll be your host for the VC 10x podcast. And today we have Dan Bowyer with us. Dan is a co founder and partner at SuperSeed, an early stage venture capital firm investing in technical teams transforming how the world works. Dan has more than 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, having built and exited 2 startups and invested in many more. In this episode, we talk about what's the focus at SuperSeed, why AI is a massively transformative technology, what's happening with Nvidia, the 5 layers of opportunities in AI. Will AI lead to the end of the SaaS industry as companies look to make their own tools using AI? Is OpenAI a threat for small AI startups? How will AI impact legacy industries like manufacturing, healthcare, etc.? So, without wasting any time, let's dive straight in. This episode is sponsored by my own podcasting agency called Podcast 10x, where I help VCs start and run their own podcast. While I was running VC 10x, this podcast that you're listening to right now, I asked my VC guests, why don't you start your own podcast? I mean, it's the best form of marketing for VCs. As they say, VC is a people play more than even a capital play. A podcast enables you to put your people at the front, your portfolio founders, your partners, and co investors. It's a great way to build a brand and win competitive deals. It activates all your marketing channels in a single shot, be it YouTube or blog post or newsletter or social media. Everything gets activated in a single shot. And I get the same response from all the VCs that it's a lot of work and we don't have the time for it. I said, all right, let me handle the work for you, from pre recording, editing, publishing to making social media clips. All you have to do is show up on a call, hit record, do the recording using the well researched outline we provide you with, and you're done. We handle everything else. You know what they said? All right, let's give it a shot. So if you are a VC and want to up your marketing and branding game, I'd love to work with you. And if you're thinking there are too many VC podcasts already, remember there are way more VC firms out there. And if you're not standing out, you're losing out. So if you want to work with me on starting your podcast, go to podcast10x.com and book a call today. I'll add the link in the description and show notes below. Look forward to working with you. Hey Dan, so good to have you on the VC10X podcast. How are you doing?
I am glorious. How are you?
I'm very well as well. Thanks for asking. And now to kick things off, can we first have a brief background about yourself and what you're doing at SuperSeed?
Sure. So the very, very short version is I'm an ex-founder turned angel turned VC, built and sold 4 businesses, nothing to write home about, but made enough money to have some fun, travel the world, do some fabulous things. Fascinated by anything technical, anything that transforms big business, transforms how we work, how we make things, how we move things around the world. So I've been in B2B all my life. I'm unemployable, so I've only ever worked for myself, built my own things, done my own things. And SuperSeed is a venture capital firm based in London that invests in very technical teams who are building transformative technologies. I don't really care what they are. It happens to be AI at the moment, but it doesn't matter what it is. That anything that is going to mess with big business, anything that goes on behind the scenes that's going to truly transform how we manufacture, logistics, supply chain, move things around, run back office, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So is it like a malleable investment thesis that what's going to be something that's going to impact the future of business the most and you're going to attack on that? right?
Yeah, I'm not sector specific. We don't. I don't. I've never really understood the term deep tech. Just as an example, what
Right.
is deep tech? Is it basically something that doesn't have a discernible business model? So I mean, it's going to take a long time to commercialize. It's a bit of a nonsense phrase, but I don't have any nonsense phrases to hook into, or any sectors, or any specific businesses. Is any technology layer that's going to create more efficiency, more productivity, and move the needle. So it's always about. I mean, that's what software's for. That's what technology is for, isn't it? It's an efficiency thing. It's something to make something else more efficient.
Totally.
So I'm trying to look for the step changes, not necessarily the revolution, because that's probably for the more wealthy big tech teams than we can do. But all the evolutionary stuff, all the things going to kind of like move the needle for big business.
Absolutely. And since AI seems to be that thing right now, at least because we are seeing massive strides, at least in that area. And one focus company in that area has become Nvidia with a massive rally in the stock, right? So how do you look at it as a private market investor? Break that down for us.
the If you look at the fundamentals, they are probably around 50% overvalued. But what is overvalue? So publics are not just pricing, but they're future pricing, aren't they? And publics aren't my world, so you have to take this with a massive pinch of salt. But it is. I mean, compute is a thing. They are the gatekeepers of compute. It's not going to go off anytime soon. It's going to be a thing for a while longer. And the market has said that we're going to, yes, there's a bit of hype, but yes, this is we believe that there is a future pricing baked into this, what I would call 50% overcook. But it's not my world. I don't really have any strong or smart opinions as to why or how. I mean, they were the right team at the right time doing the right thing, right? So we'll see how it ends. I don't think. I mean, if you look at like the what are they called? What are the top seven? The Mag Seven, or I forgot what they're called. They've changed their name. They're not a Fang anymore. They're not the Mega. They're
Yeah.
something else. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, it's only really Microsoft and Nvidia that are slightly over the fundamentals. Like, even if you just look at this discounted cash flow, um, the others actually are quite stand up. But as far as Nvidia, the jury's out. I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to fuel a hype cycle that will become boom and busty destructive. I don't think so. But it is a little bit overzealous, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Has to be. Maybe people are thinking that it has kind of a market leadership in that area somewhat that's established, been in that space for so long. So maybe that's what's causing this rally. And let's
Yeah.
hope this maybe continues, or and Nvidia happens to justify that, right?
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I think they will, and the chips will fall, and they've
right.
been through the mill. I mean, they've had some horrific times in their history. So
Very true.
this
Yeah.
is their time in the sun, and like I say, they're at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And we are desperate for compute. So bring it on.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think I heard about one VC firm. I think it was Sequoia or someone who has remained invested in Nvidia over the years,
Yes.
and they are seeing massive returns, right?
Yeah,
So
can you imagine? Can you imagine? I listen. I don't think it's going to be hopping. I think there are fundamentals here that are the future. AI is not blockchain. It's not metaverse. It's not crypto. It's
right,
not this kind of rubbish. There are fundamental shifts. So I in my head, I look at what are the picks and shovels like the Nvidias. Then you've got the platforms. So you've got the OpenAI and Mistral, and you've got the platform
right,
providers, and then you've
right.
got the products or the application layer. And this is across the board transformative stuff. So this isn't going anywhere. This isn't going to be. Yes, there's hype. Yes, some people are gonna get their faces burned, but this is not the same hype cycle as crypto and MetaTurd and blockchain or whatever the other rubbish was been going bouncing around for the last decade.
Okay, okay. Great. And you just talked about the AI stack or the spectrum of the different kind of solutions that are there. One being the very at the very fundamental level solution like Nvidia, or building the the hardware for it, right?
Yeah.
superconductors and chips, basically. And then on top of that, the platform rail. So how do you since you are focused kind of right now, at least on the investing into AI startups, so how do you separate all the different subcategories that are there, and what are the different kind of solutions that are there in each category?
Yeah, I mean, we're quite fortunate insofar as we only do the application. So the Gen AI plus, so all the application layer stuff is all that we will ever invest in, because I only care when rubber hits road. So we as a firm will only invest when there is a commercial application that is going to change BMW or GlaxoSmithKline or American Express. I don't really care for the picks and shovels and the platform stuff. Oh my God, if you look at some of this beautiful tooling that's coming out, we were doing some research into the VC stack, because obviously venture capital is one of those industries that's going to be massively transformed by AI. And there's so many amazing products, platforms, toolkits that are coming out. But I don't care about the infrastructure piece. Great, let the big guys worry about the infrastructure piece. The platforms, that's going to be fought out by the big guys as well. So great, crack on with that. But so for me, I don't have to think about those things. I'm only really concerned when there's an application layer that levels into a commercial application. So a business can take this technology and apply it to be cheaper, better, different, new, whatever it needs to do. So I don't have to worry about a lot of it, which is good, because there is going to be some fingers burnt, there's going to be some hype, cycly stuff, and there's going to be, but and that goes at the application layer as well. But at least I don't have to worry about the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, totally agree. And separating the signal from the noise also becomes an extremely crucial thing to do here, because
Yeah.
that's the important skill with the investing in hype cycles, because there's so many stuff that's in the air, and you have to pick the things that you want to be interested in, right? And
Mm.
especially the point you mentioned about where are the big guys going to come in and play that game, and what are the games that are going to be kept for startups and newer ones to solve those problems, right? So how do you separate those? Because every time a new big release comes from OpenAI, maybe like Chat GPT, releasing Sub GPT, people can create their own GPTs. Even that impacted a lot of startups. That okay, now they are not that relevant, right? So how do you look at that kind of things?
It's a really hard question to answer. The reality is that some of the startups that we've invested in are going to be superseded, no pun intended, by, and almost, I bet there'll be an accidental release from OpenAI. Will accidentally release a thing that does a thing over here, but absolutely transforms supply chain management, just incidentally, just happens to be really good at it. So there will be some wipeouts. I think my sense is that you're going to look at the whatever Gen AI, LLM, whatever the platform release is. I cannot see a world where you won't need specific data sets with specific challenges delivered in a specific way. I don't believe in this kind of more generic release that's going to solve, quite specific or niche problems. Um, and I also think we're going to fall into the trap, a bit like the self-driving car trap, where the first 90% of a solution is relatively easy to build. It's relatively there, like is it Sora or Cora? What's the OpenAI video tool? I can't forget what it's called, but it
Yeah, I think so,
doesn't.
Rob. Yeah,
It's an amazing thing, but it's
yeah.
never going to make movies. It's never going to make a TV show. It's never going to make an advert. So it's going to be a great tooling for the 80%, almost like the Pareto piece. But you're going to need these niche applications or specific pieces of work that are going to actually deliver the end point for a company. So yes, there'll be wipeouts. I haven't got a smart answer to how do you separate signal from noise. I mean, I always believe in solving the customer problem. So I always look at it through the customer's lens, and how many are there and how much are they willing to pay. And I don't believe that these big platform releases will necessarily be able to solve enterprise problems. There will always be a layer that a startup or a new business or an arm of a business will need to deliver. So, but there's no smart answer to the whole signal noise. It's just like you have to take some bets, and that's what VC is. It's gambling, right? So you have to make some bets.
Yeah, totally agree. And what's your perspective on this SaaS businesses? Because it is also being said that SaaS businesses face a significant threat that maybe since AI is going to come in, companies are going to build their own tooling. Maybe that's more convenient for them and that's more personalized for them, right?
Yeah, they
So
already
what?
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was having a debate yesterday about whether Copilot will be a category. Is there going to be a? I mean, I know Microsoft have got a product called Copilot, and I'm sure there are others out there. But is Copilot going to be a category? Just as an example, I don't know. I mean, we are at a very, very nascent early stage of the most incredible technological step change. This is, our generation's mobile moment or internet moment. So my kids are going to be raised in a completely different world, and how businesses step up to this new challenge and how they apply AI is just going to be massive. And I mean, there's the whole 10x, hence the name of your podcast, right? This whole 10x piece. I think
yeah,
there is a lazy argument to say that we're all going to be 10x in some way by AI.
right. Hopefully. Great. When you're looking, let's talk about the investing aspect of it. So when you're looking at the startups, of course, you have to navigate the AI maze and find out how this is going to stand out and be relevant, right? But
Mm.
besides that, what are the other things that you look for in a team and in a founder and the solution that they're building?
Well, I realized I didn't answer your last question. I apologize. It was so. I think just to very succinctly answer the SaaS AI piece, AI will be delivered as SaaS, so it'll fold in on itself. So I don't believe that companies building their own tooling will replace the need for startups to build tooling. I apologize. I didn't really answer the question. I got a rabbit hole all over the place.
All right.
Sorry, what was the next question? How do we choose?
Yeah, basically, how do you choose and evaluate the deals that are coming to you?
A bit like I've said before, I only care what customers think. So when we meet a team we meet very technical, smart people doing smart things. When we meet a team, I don't really care what they say. I don't care what I think. I only care how customers behave. So we very quickly get them in front of customers and understand the market pull and the customer dynamic. My sense is, and I kind of live on this, that if you're a smart team doing smart things, you'll work it out. I don't really care about the technology or what you built so far. I do, but just to be blunt, I mean, if you're smart and you can build smart things, you'll work it out. But what you've always got to do is use the client as the lens and the market as the lens. So I always look at the team and the market that they're servicing, and then layer that over 1, 3, 5, 10 years. And how does it look? And where's this network piece? And how will that unfold? And what's their vision? Is that aligned with what they want to do now? Is step one make sense? Is step two going to make sense? So I only really care about the client lensing. I don't really care about much else. So what are the team like up to doing? Are they, have they got the chops for this? And are they going to stay the distance? And what does the market think? And how do we agree? Step one, I mean, it's going to change. How do we agree it's going to unfold, or what's the roadmap that we're going to agree to? So that's kind of the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure does. And are you using AI at all within the venture firm in the activities that you do? Maybe evaluating deals, sourcing deals
Yeah.
in any aspect? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading some stuff recently about big US VCs being asked how many deals have actually come from AI tooling, and they're quite famously saying nothing. It's all the same old bullshit referrals. So into VC network, into partner network referral scheme, and that whole warm referrals, which is largely true, but it's very, very early. So how we source, I think it's going to be completely democratized. We're already seeing the number of tools available to source deals, which is great because it means that founders are being opened to different routes of investment early, which is really important because it takes so long to raise a round and it's such a distraction. So anything that enables founders to more quickly get in touch with the right VCs or the right angels or syndicates or networks, I think is really important. The selection piece, I think, is an interesting one. So sourcing is one thing. I think that's going to be done fairly. Version 1 is going to be done fairly soon. So everyone getting access to that connective tissue between founder and investor. That's going to happen, I would say, this year. The next piece, the selecting piece, the digital or the AI analyst is coming online. So the competitive piece, understanding the competitive landscape, understanding the opportunity, looking at profiles, looking at founder profiles, and analyzing that using AI, I think that will be very much a co-pilot thing. The sourcing thing, I think, will be very much standalone. The digital analyst, my sense is, will be very much a co-pilot thing. You can't remove the human in the loop. And then the supporting on the other side, so the final piece in the pie, I'm not sure that much AI will have much impact there. So sourcing massively, selecting majoritively, partially, I think a large degree will be supported via AI toolkits, and then the supporting not so much. I think it kind of goes in opposite directions the deeper involved you get with the founding team.
Absolutely, that's good insight there. And also talking about the legacy industries, the industries which have been there for so long, like maybe healthcare, manufacturing, right? How is AI going to impact these sectors?
Oh, massive. If they'll let them, I think there are challenges around regulation, and partly for good reasons, as in protecting people, protecting jobs. I think there's a lot of friction in health, in education, in legal, because the industry doesn't want a lot of the technology that is going to disrupt it. So there is a challenge around that layer of friction. So there's the regulation piece, there's the natural friction in industries. And then there's the time lag. I mean, AI is moving at a rate of knots, but it's not going to instantly, immediately transform everything overnight. We're not going to just suddenly walk into a supermarket and there's no checkout people, or walk into a warehouse and there's no, everything is robot. It's just, those things take time. They are going to happen. It is going to be disruptive and it is going to have human impact, but it's not going to be overnight. But the main, I think the main protagonist in this pot is going to be regulation. So the friction on the sector side, there will be poke throughs. There will be those that kind of get through, and then the industry will just collapse and unfold in a new way. But regulation, I think, is going to be challenging, especially in the EU and the UK. With the EU, Americans are much more progressive. They want to sell, they want to invent, they want to try new things. But the UK and Europe are just backwards. We're a backwater of idiots, where everything is about compliance or safety. It's like, just let's look at innovation as well. Let's balance the pot with amazing things and trying new things and investing in new things, rather than, oh, what's going to happen? AI is going to kill us and take all our jobs. That's just not true. So I'm sometimes embarrassed and irritated being in Europe, because we just don't have this kind of go get 'em attitude. Not that I want to be American necessarily, but I think we're just missing a trick.
Yeah. That's certainly seems to be something that's there in EU, and even in India. Like especially in regard to AI, there was recently kind of an advisory from the government that if you're deploying new AI models, any startup, they need to first get it approved from the government, right? And there was a race around it, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think that actually stops innovation from happening, and
Totally
people,
does.
yeah, and people are going to like not go into these spaces if they feel okay. There's so much regulation there. Why bother, right? They do other things, right?
Yeah.
Great. And now let's talk about some of your portfolio companies. I'm sure you've backed some interesting companies. So, what are the problems they are attacking?
Uh, so it's all kind of this whole kind of back office piece around transformative tech. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I say the words a lot, and I'm not sure that always lands. But if we look at, I mean, ThingTrax is one of our portfolio companies, and they're like the Chromecast for manufacturing. So they will be an IoT device, an AI algorithm, a computer vision delivered algorithm that enables old legacy plant machinery, whether it's making an envelope or a car or whatever it might be on the factory line, and it optimizes. So it uses these little sensors and AI to optimize the throughput of the factory. If you look at a company like Octopipe, who we've recently invested in, they do on-device federated learning. So they enable AI to self-learn and optimize on the device, whether it's in a drone or in a lawnmower or any device that needs to use technology to or use AI to self-learn and optimize and do a better job. So, and they have a platform that enables the federated learning to take place. If you look at AI Build, they have a software platform that optimizes large, those 3D robot printing arms. So they can optimize the path that the 3D robot arm takes to make large objects at scale for massive automotive or aerospace providers. If you look at who else have we got on the boards? Ankara do using AI to rapidly deploy Kubernetes clusters for large organizations and microservices. So if you're a platform trying to deliver and you want to just get rid of all the DevOps side, they have a platform that does that. So does that give you a flavor?
Yeah, sure does. That's a very interesting set of companies that you backed there. And since you're investing into AI startups and have some experience here, so what's been like your biggest learning or an observation that you makes you think that okay, this is one trait that makes a company that's operating in the AI space work, and this, or maybe that's one thing that's a red flag that those kind of companies tend to not work out, right? Anything like that?
There are many ways to answer that question. I think because I invest early, so I invest at pre-seed and seed, hence the name SuperSeed. So it's all very early stuff. So round sizes tend to be 1.5 to 3 million pounds, and valuations anywhere between 6 and 15 million pounds. And it's normally their first or second institutional raise. So it's early. So the main problem, apart from founder conflict, so at a founder level, founder conflict is a problem. When you raise or you're building a business and you're raising capital, it really brings out the best and worst of humanity, and founders fall out. So founder conflict is a massive thing, especially when they're going through a divorce or getting married or having children or having money problems. It's really, 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 really difficult to build a startup in the early stage. I think it's the hardest job on the planet. So apart from that, the main challenge that the founders that I work with have is around focus and tenacity. So it's almost like, what the main things that create success for startups are timing and luck. I mean, it's you can intellectualize up the yin yang, but really it's where are you in the timing of your delivery of your product or service, and you need to be lucky, but you create your own luck. So there's this focus piece that sometimes falls by the wayside, especially when founders have a lot of money in the bank. When I put 2-3 million pounds in the bank, they can hire lots of people, they can make lots of decisions, and they can be a lack of focus. And then there's this tenacity, this determination piece that lives on top, where they're going to do it, they're going to hustle it, they're going to poke it in the eye regardless. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the main challenge at early stage, is being around long enough for luck to find you, being in the right time at the right place, and being tenacious and driven and like disagreeable and determined enough to kind of constantly be knocking on the doors. And it's tiring and it's exhausting, and I think it's not money that a lot of founders run out of, it's energy.
Yeah, totally agree that. And since you hinted on how it's incredibly difficult for, or the chances are not in the stagnant favor of an early stage startup succeeding, right?
Yeah.
So how do you construct your portfolio in a manner that you are optimizing the fund in order to perform regardless of the successes and failures of the fund, right? So do you have a follow-on strategy and maybe diversification strategy? So give us a look into that.
We do. So it's a £50 million fund. So we're investing in 30 startups at around £1.5 million per ticket on average. So that's roughly it. So there's a 40% follow-on structure to extend or back your own winners or put some more gas in the tank. I'm not convinced by that strategy necessarily. There is an argument to go big and early and one hit wonder. There is also an argument to do a little bit more early, pre-seed, a little bit more what would be classified as spray and pray. It's not, because we're investing in a technical founder, deep level B2B box, but there is an argument to do more small tickets. So the strategy that we've chosen is 30 deals, 1.5 million with a 40% reserve, which I think is sensible. But the diversification is naturally baked in. I mean, we're investing in 30 startups. We expect half of the portfolio to do something, and we expect a few breakouts. So that's what we're hoping for: 2 or 3 breakouts, and half of the portfolio or more to return more than 1x, shall we say, more than a cash return. So I get a bit frustrated with a lot of people intellectualizing too much, I think, on this basis, because if you look at the successes that a lot of funds have had, again, it comes down to timing and luck. It's not, we can get all clever and document this and strategize that, but really, 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 are you meeting really, really smart people that have an option and have a shot on goal of building something amazing? And venture capital is a very specific beast. It's a power law driven specific beast that serves virtually no one. I mean, of all the startups that are launched, I mean, it must serve 0.05% or something. It's negligible, the number of founders that are actually building something that is venture backable. And I don't think founders truly understand what venture scale is or venture backable is. So that's the strategy. But again, I'm not always convinced by my own strategy, and I think some of it is over intellectualized rubbish.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, thanks for giving us a look into that and the path that you've chosen on that front. Now, let's do the rapid fire round to end this with, wherein I'll ask you 5 quick questions about the investing that you're doing at
Sure.
the fund, and you have to give 5 quick answers. So the first one goes: what are the sectors and regions you invest in?
Back office, B2B, manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, industry 4.0.
What's the typical stage of investment?
Pre-seed, seed, so pre first or second institutional round, on the edge of product market fit.
What's the typical check size you put in?
£1 million.
Great. And where can founders apply for funding in case there's a direct way?
SuperSeed.com. Drop a deck on the website and drop me a note.
Great. And where can our listeners follow you?
I'm mainly noisy on LinkedIn. Twitter, I don't really do anything, or X, or whatever it's called these days. So it's mainly LinkedIn. It's Dan Bowyer on LinkedIn.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put all those links in the show notes below for our listeners to get there. Thanks so much for doing this, Dan, and sharing your insights on the podcast. I wish you happy investing.
Pleasure. Lovely questions. Lovely chatting.
Thank you. Likewise.